Hey guys, it's Phil here from TechSmart. Today we're going to be comparing the iPad Air to the 2013 Nexus 7. So obviously these are going to be the two hottest tablets of the year, and we just want to let you guys know which ones are probably going to be the best to fit your price as well as what you're wanting in a tablet. So should you go with the $230 Nexus 7 or go up $270 and get the $500 iPad Air? Well, stay tuned to find out. So here we have the iPad Air and the Nexus 7 2013 model. Let's first start off by talking about size. Obviously, this is the 7-inch Nexus 7 and a 9.7-inch iPad. So the physical size is going to differ quite a bit. However, bear with us while we just kind of get past this and we'll get really into the software of things. So the iPad Air, it's definitely gotten a lot thinner. As far as the physical dimensions go, it's going to be 0.3 inches thick, and then it's going to be the 9.5 inches tall by 6.67 inches wide. And comparing that to the smaller Nexus 7, it's going to be 0.34 inches thick, so the iPad Air is actually a little bit thinner than the Nexus 7 despite the size. 7.8 inches tall by 4.49 inches wide. Now, with that said, the physical material made up on the Nexus 7, it's a soft-touch plastic backing with the glass on the front. And on the contrary, the iPad Air is going to have the same glass on the front as well. However, if you flip it over, it is an all-aluminum backing, pretty much just making it a lot more susceptible to scratches. Just having it for the short amount of time I have, I feel like I am ruining this tablet as the minutes go by. So, regarding price on the two, we mentioned this briefly in the intro, but the Nexus 7 comes in at $230 for the 16GB model. The baseline iPad Air is going to run you about $500. However, if you pick it up from Walmart, you get about $20 off. However, they do come in different sizes. You have the 16 and 32GB configurations of the Nexus 7, and then on the iPad Air, you're going to get the 16, 32, 64, and 128GB. And the prices for those are $100 more than each other. So for $500, $600, $700, and $800 for that 128 gig model. And both of these tablets do have the ability to have cellular data connection built in. On the Nexus 7, to add that model, it's $350. You get 32 gigabytes of storage, and you have HSPA Plus as well as LTE on any GSM network. With the iPad Air, it's a little bit different. You can have the choice of Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, or Sprint, and that's going to be LTE service as well. However, that's going to run you $130 on top of the price of whatever gigabyte model you go. So a 16 gigabyte model is going to be $630 if you wanted to add that cellular service as well. Now, speaking of the screens, we'll start off with the iPad. It's a 9.7-inch display. The resolution is kind of crazy. It's 2048 by 1536. With that said, for every inch on the screen, there is 264 pixels. That's the pixel density, and it's pretty crazy. Falls into Apple's Retina lineup, meaning you can't distinguish a pixel with the naked eye from a certain viewing distance, of course. However, looking at the Nexus 7, it actually looks a bit nicer. The screen resolution is 1920 by 1200. And because it's on that smaller 7-inch screen, even though the resolution is less, it has a higher pixel density. So the pixel density is 323 ppi, which just makes it crazy sharp and insanely accurate. They're both IPS panels, so they're going to be very bright in direct sunlight. It's not AMOLED, so the blacks aren't going to be as deep. However, it's going to give you a much more natural and realistic looking tone in all of the images. As far as speed and performance goes, we're just going to kind of flick around through each of these just so you can see how really, if there's any stutter or lag. Of course, there's not going to be. These are really the two top dogs in both worlds. On the iPad side of things, you're going to have Apple's A7 processor, 64-bit, and it's a dual-core 1.4 gigahertz processor. As far as graphics go, you have the Power VR G640 graphics, and that's going to allow you to play some crazy games, especially with their new multiplayer system that they have going with Game Center. On the Nexus 7 side of things, you actually have a little bit beefier processor in here. It's a quad-core Snapdragon S4 Pro, clocked at 1.5 gigahertz and 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now, basically, even though you have that crazy, much improved processor in the Nexus 7, it is going to be just about as fast as the iPad Air, to be honest. Unfortunately, Android devices do require a bit more power to run them as opposed to iOS devices, so that is something that you're going to have to take note with this. Even though there's the faster processor in the Nexus 7, speed is going to be about the same amongst both tablets. So other than that, let's start talking about the camera. Now, obviously, most people don't use the camera for photos on a tablet. It's kind of just a feature that's there. However, Apple and Asus are trying to improve them just so they will make it usable for the consumers that do use it. So as you can see right here, the front-facing camera on this device is a 1.2 megapixel. It's not the best, as you can see from the test quality. We'll take a picture right now, and I'll show this to you. And then if we move it over to the Nexus 7, front-facing camera as well, it's going to be 1.2 megapixels. The colors seem a little bit more contrasty. Blacks just seem a little bit darker than the iPad's photos do. However, that's just the front camera. So if we flip this over to the back, the rear-facing camera on both of these tablets are actually pretty solid. You have the 5 megapixel sensor on the iPad Air, and that's going to give you an f2.4 aperture, meaning it's allowing it a lot of light for really nice blurred backgrounds with your photos, as well as decent low light performance. It's still a bit noisy, but at the end of the day, it is a camera on a tablet, and there's not much to say about that. It is going to give you 1080p video recording, which is really nice. It's digital stabilization, not optical, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's kind of the way things are going. On the Nexus 7, 5 megapixel sensor as well, 1080p recording, just the same. Neither of these tablets are going to do slow motion, even though the iPhone 5S does have that slow motion capability. They left that out on the iPad Air, which kind of sucks. I would have liked to see that on here, especially since you have the full iMovie suite now for free, and it just makes everything a little bit better, and you can use the iPad a little bit more productively. Now, operating system-wise, the iPad is running iOS 7. This is the newest version of iOS that's been out, probably the biggest update that they've done in a long time. As far as applications go, as of October 2013, About.com said there's roughly 475,000 iPad-optimized applications, and that's crazy. So you can really find just about every app that you're looking for to work perfectly on the iPad. You're not going to have to scale up an iPhone app. They should all work perfectly fine. I have Google Drive here, which just works really nice. I have a full screen iPad-optimized version. And that's really where the iPad is probably going to take it away from most people. When you look at tablets and you think of what applications you're going to be using, the app ecosystem is very important. And well, I love Android to death. There's really not that many applications optimized for tablets on the Android side of things. With that said, the Nexus 7 is running Android 4.3. It will be updatable to 4.4 KitKat in the next couple months. And with that, with the application optimization that I was just talking about, there's really no set number to the amount of apps that are optimized for Android tablets. However, the benefit of using the 7-inch tablet means you can use a lot of Android phone apps, and they're actually going to scale up pretty nicely. That's thanks to phones like the Galaxy Note as well as the Galaxy Mega. So since phones are getting bigger, the 7-inch tablet apps seem to fit and run just as well as a phone app would. So that's kind of the benefit there. However, you are going to definitely get a much nicer app experience on the iPad Air as opposed to the Nexus 7. And finally, battery life. That's probably the most important, because if your iPad or Nexus is dead, what good does it do to you, really? So Apple's rated the iPad Air at 10 hours of battery life. That's supposedly with web and video playback. On the Nexus 7, Google has said that you're going to get roughly 10 hours of web use and 9 hours of HD video playback. Now, obviously, that's going to change over time, depending on how you charge your battery and what condition you keep everything in. Specifically with the iPad Air, we're going to be doing a full review and doing all of our crazy tests to it. So be sure to stay subscribed if you want to see a lot more coverage on the iPad Air. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much going to be it. That's the iPad Air versus the Nexus 7. The Nexus 7 is going to be, like I said, running you $230. The iPad Air is $500. So you're really going to be paying a premium to get those optimized apps. You're paying a premium for the larger size, as well as you're paying a premium to have that Apple name on your device. With the Nexus 7, it's a bit more portable, it's a bit more affordable, and the app selection isn't going to be as great. However, you're still going to be really able to do a lot of the stuff that you're doing with the iPad on this device as well. We're going to have a link to both of these tablets in the description below. Let us know in the comments below which one you think is better and which one you're going to be picking up. Or if you already have one of them, let us know what you think of it. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, as well as, like I said, subscribe for more content. There's going to be a lot more coverage of the iPad Air coming up soon, as well as a brand new iPad mini that you'll see in the later this month. Anyways, guys, Phil from TechSmart, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.